Good morning. Hey, look, we're live now. Hey, look, it's us. We're here. We're live.
Oh,
Good morning, everyone. So great to see everyone in our Twitch stream today. Thank you for joining us for a special edition of Creative Conversations. I am Megan, as you know, coming to you live from the Wacom Experience Center here in Portland, Oregon, also known as my basement for today, but that's all right. It's, COVID. We just stream from wherever we are. I am super excited to be here today with a team of people that are brilliant and making new waves in the creative app space, which is, of course, super huge and important to all of us creators. So I am joined today by Ralph and Vladimir of VectornatorPro, the people behind this wonderful app, and also artist Jaye Kang, who made made this beautiful piece of artwork that we are looking at. So welcome, guys. Thank you guys for joining us today. Super excited to talk to you. Let's go through everyone and just give who you are, kind of what you do. I'm gonna actually start with Vladimir on the spot.
thanks, Megan. Thrilled to be here. Just a bit about myself. I founded Vectornator 2017, and yeah.
2017. How old were you when you created Vectornator?
Good question. So I kind of had my whole life as a project with Vectornator. So I started it when I was roughly 10. It was a hobby project back then, but yeah, it goes back some time now.
It is life. Vectornator is life. Awesome. So Ralph, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What you do?
Well, I'm design director at Vectornator. I've been working with Vladimir since I would say the last 3 years here. Worked across the product team and marketing team. We've done a lot of cool stuff at Vectornator here, including building the user experience of this app.
Yeah, which is key for any creative program. Is a good user experience. It's pivotal. And last but not least, Jaye, our artist with us today.
My name is Jaye. I'm an illustrator and a visual designer, and I'm creating artwork as well.
Beautiful artwork. And you can find Jaye on Instagram at JComic with a K at the end of comic. We'll social media links again at the end, but thank you guys for being here. So for those of you out there that are not yet familiar with Vectornator, I'm going to play you this really cool video. This is showing a lot of the newest features that came out in version 4.0. So take a little look. We're going to watch this video just to get you guys a little more familiar with what Vectornator looks like, and then we will dive into some questions.
Give me your attention, please. I'll make your head spin just for me. See me dressing to the nines. Yeah, you looking at what's mine. If you wanna get in line, I don't follow, I define. Feels so good, and it feels so right. I take it there, I'm lighting up the night. I'm for real, see the way you stare. Watch me work my flair. I take it there. I take it there. Watch me. I take it there.
No.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. I love that video. It's so colorful and so beautiful and so pretty to watch. And then if you've used the app, you know that the app looks just as great when you're using it. So let's go back. I know I asked Vlad when he first started thinking about Vectornator at the ripe age of 10. You just came out with all these brilliant ideas as a child, and I love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about Vectornator Pro, what it is? Start from there.
Sure. So essentially, it all starts with the moment I started Vectornator at the beginning, because when I was younger, I had a blog with illustrations, and at some point, the iPhone 4 came out, everything got blurry because the resolution was too low, and I got into vectors, because I mean, of course, if you want to create something that is resolution independent, it's kind of hard to create that with pixels. And the go-to tool, of course, still today is Adobe Illustrator. I got into that one, found it very hard to use. Then I didn't really feel like it makes sense to create vectors or like create anything on a computer. And thought, what about making it accessible and bring it over to an iPad, which is like kind of like this magical device with a touch screen where you can interact with everything with your finger in this like super intuitive way. And at the same time, my goal was to make Vectornator very, very simple to use, because at the end, I think, or like we think as a company, that creativity is something that everybody should experience.
Yeah.
And if you want to create something, you should be able to create it without studying design for years to come, just to understand the super complex interface that hasn't changed for the last 20 years. So this is kind of a bit about Vectornator. I mean, it's the super intuitive tool made for iPad and macOS, the Apple ecosystem that allows you to create whatever you want super freely, and also makes it very accessible for beginners to get into it and just simply start creating.
Yeah. That is one thing that I noticed the first time I was introduced to Vectornator was the user interface is really streamlined, which is nice. And Cartoon Katie out there, who is our go-to vector illustrator, is very true. Once you go vector, you never go back. You just want clean lines for life, and then everything is scalable and perfect all the time. So tell us a little bit about the backstory. Where were you when this was developed? And maybe talk a little bit, I'm leading you into this will conversation now. Talk a little bit about some of the development tools that you put into creating Vectornator.
Yeah, so it was, I mean, the funny thing is that I started to learn to program with Vectornator. So the first trials were pretty much failure until I finally got starting to kind of work. I mean, the go-to tool still today is Xcode. So once you get the hang of it, it's quite simple actually, especially compared to other tools out there for developing apps. And also Apple provides a lot of very good documentation and tutorials and learning information so that everybody can also understand to code and make it, let's say, very easy to get into if you want to, and have the will of not giving up quite quickly, because at the end it is also a marathon to get to a tool that works. And it was basically this ongoing project where it was kind of trying out new APIs, trying to make sure, okay, does this work? Does it not work? And up to the point where I brought in some friends, then also Ralph came in, and we all kind of took a look at it from a bigger picture. How can we make it more streamlined? How can we make it super easy to use? And how can we actually redesign things in such a way that they are modern and yet not kind of blocking people from getting into it, so that they're scared when they see it the first time. They're like, I don't want to touch it. It looks too complicated. I have like 30 million buttons on the screen with submenus and other submenus that are then again nested. And then you find out, okay, there's a link on this button, but then you actually need to go to somewhere else to find the button again. So it's kind of like this, all about basically creating, streamlining it and making it easy to use, because that's the goal. And with development, it was the same thing. I mean, trial and error essentially, until we professionalized the development team, and now we have super talented developers working on it that are pushing it forward every day.
Super cool. I know there's so much too. I think you said it's a little bit like a marathon. It's like a race, and I think if you pay attention to apps that come out, especially creative apps that come out on the App Store, either for iOS or for Android, it's so fast. But I think some of them get launched and then never pick up steam, and that's that like it's a race. It's a race to like get it out there, but you have to test run programs, right? I mean, there's a trial and error point, and you have to see what fails and what works, but you still have to like be the first out the gate. I don't know. Yeah, it's tricky. So one cool feature of Vectornator, because I'm sure there's probably a few people out there that are like, Wacom, Apple, programs for iPad, what's the story? Well, for a lot of people out there don't know that Wacom we have a technology, we have a SDK, it's called WIL, it stands for the Wacom Ink Layer Language, which is a software development tool that is useful across every and any platform, which is great. And that's one of those tools that is used in Vectornator, which of course brings us together, which is super cool. And I think one thing that I've always found great about Vectornator is the accessibility. So maybe could you talk a little bit about the user experience of using Vectornator on iPhones, iPads, and Mac? Is there a difference in those experiences, or how does that feel for an artist?
May I
So
answer that?
essentially,
Yeah.
wow, if you can.
So yeah, I mean, I think one thing that sets us apart a lot from our competitors, and it's a way of how we imagine our product across these devices. We said, okay, Vectornator is available on iPhone and iPad and Mac. The way we do it is that we don't really sacrifice when we're building an app for the iPhone. It's actually kind of the same experience, thanks to Apple's technologies and also our efforts to kind of unify the code base. We have the same set of tools working across iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and the same level of user experience is optimized to work with all the input methods.
Cool.
Because remember, iPad is works with touch, works with pencil, and now even works with mouse and trackpad input and keyboard. So you kind of have to support all of these input methods. And overall, that's what we kind of try to achieve with our user experience. And on the other hand, it's kind of making it as easy as possible, trying to answer the typical design questions of how does someone design, and trying to solve these problems with all of these technologies that we have. Yeah.
That is super cool. What are maybe some of the key features in Vectornator that you guys feel like really set you apart from other vector programs? That's open to anyone.
There's a lot of features in Vectornator, I would say, that sets us apart. We've launched a lot of set of features that are also very much community influenced. So our community really helps us, I would say, set the roadmap for our product. And we've launched a lot of features that, let's say, for example, time lapse that lets you export your illustration from start to finish as a video, or multiple artboards. Our last release also includes a lot of cool changes like the quick actions menu. This lets you work in full screen mode. We've launched brushes and pressure sensitivity brushes that work really flawlessly with Apple Pencils, and
Nice.
it also works with a couple Wacom styluses. There's a large number of feature sets. I guess definitely Jaye and Vladimir have their own sets of favorite features that they like to use in Vectornator.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are my favorites.
Vladimir, what are your favorite features or tools in your program?
For me, it's definitely a time lapse, because it just makes it super easy to share artwork and stand apart from other artists out there. Because at the end, let's say I have a portfolio on my Instagram and I want to stand out from the rest. What can I do? If I create my artworks in Pixel and Procreate, let's say, I can create the time lapses, which by now are pretty much common. But if I'm working with vectors, I'm lost and there's no really way to differentiate. So with Vectornator, it's pretty much just pressing the button and then you get this beautiful video exported, which is pretty amazing. But I think even looking at this feature in general, I think you can take one step back and then you notice that actually the thing that sets us apart is that the tool is so accessible, so that you don't need to get into a tool for months or try things out. Just you get it right away. And that's our main focus, that we make vectors as easy to use as pixels, so that people finally understand that vectors are actually superior to pixels. And when you get the hang of that, as as Cartoon Katie said, you never want to go back to pixels. So
It's true.
that's our main thing. Like, make vectors as easy to use as pixels, make the tool super accessible, make it easy to use, make a super fast workflow. I mean, also with something like auto trace, where you can convert your pixels to vectors. It's just, you press one button, boom, it's there in vectors. You don't have to go to submenus and get the hang of it. It just works. So probably like being the Apple on the design world, or like the vector world versus Android.
Yeah. And another thing too, which I think is great about accessibility, and this is always the question, I know this comes up a lot in conversations for people that are Adobe users and kind of indoctrinated into the Creative Cloud. VectornatorPro is free, which is amazing. Like, just have an amazing tool and use it and create stuff. And I think that's really awesome. Let's talk. So Jay, you've been sitting there all nice and silent, and we've just been like drooling over this beautiful piece of artwork on the screen with us. Let's talk a little bit about you. So you are an artist, of course. You're based out of Dusseldorf in Germany, which is where our European headquarters is for Wacom, which is super cool. The piece that we're looking at is a piece of artwork that you created for the team at Vectornator, of course, created in Vectornator. Tell us a little bit about, just tell us about your work in general, kind of what type of work you do, and then we're going to have you kind of go through and we'll slightly deconstruct this piece of artwork that you have, and then also talk about some of the tools that you used in Vectornator.
Yeah. So normally I creating the artwork like this piece, and I use I create a lot of artwork with Vectornator. Mm-hmm. I think it's very useful. It's very easy. I normally have the iPad Pro with me, and I work a lot with iPad Pro because the Vectornator is on iPad Pro, and I can use Vectornator to create artwork everywhere. Sometimes I have to take the trains or take the plane, and I can work also on the train and on the plane. I think it's very easy to Vectornator bring me an easy way to creating artwork. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice. It's mobile. It's compact. It goes with you.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your inspiration for this piece of artwork. What were you thinking when you created it?
Because normally I watch a lot of science fiction movies or series or news heard about. And I heard a lot of things like maybe the universe have a creator to create the whole universe. So this artwork called The Creator, and it's auch double meaningful, like we are also creators. We create artworks. We create a different world. So it's like the creators created the whole universe, but also like us created the artwork, created another different beautiful universe. So that's the idea I get. Yeah,
I love it. That's, I think, one of the cool, it's the power of art, is any piece of art you make, whatever platform, traditional, digital, wherever it is, you're creating this other universe that then people can be in and kind of experience and look at, which is super lovely. So if anyone, exactly, I was just going to call out his colors. Thank you, Liam Brazier. Your color palettes are super lovely. I know we had this conversation the first time we spoke. I always have a hard time coming up with a color palette and sticking to it. And I think that's something that a lot of artists do. Where do you get your inspiration for color palettes, and how do you approach color when you're sitting down to make art?
I think a lot of people who learned drawing like me know about the complementary colors, and it is the pairs of colors like the basic red and green, blue and orange, and lila and yellow, and so on. This is helping me to choose colors for my artwork. If we follow the rules, we can pick the nice colors which are not against each other. Then it will not look beautiful. But of course, it is not that simple. About the dark light are also very important. We often see colors are very vibrant, and because the dark colors brighten up the light colors. So when we follow the rules, and then it's very easy to create your own color palette. Yeah,
it's super cool. It's true. You have to always have that contrast to balance the darks and the lights, and then it's like It's the cycle of contrast, having contrasting values, contrasting hues, but then also the complementary colors. You have to know the rules before you can break them, is always kind of that go-to saying. When you're working in VectorNator, are there tools or like features that you use frequently? Do you have like a favorite kind of tool set that you could show us?
Yes, I have to say a lot of tools and the features of VectorNator I really love. Basic tools like pen tool, brush, and shape tool, I use those all the time. I really like to much be time lapse, as we said before, and the Boolean tools, because my style of illustration need this a lot. And I really like the new feature called quick action menus, and which just came with the 4.0 version. All the often used tools you can find there, and where I can reach them right away without going through the inspector tab to find them. That saves me a lot of time and also in my workflow. Yes, yeah.
That's key. Anything that can streamline and like make the tools easier to find and have it be a few less steps, so you're not it's not the like hunt and search for which menu, drop down menu, etc. That's always can be pretty cumbersome. Yeah, this is super cool. I'm trying to think here. I have so many questions for you. I'm like just getting all very excited about looking at your artwork. What would be let's see. Here's a comment in the chat. I'm a big fan of the layer order quick action. For sure. Yeah, I think those again are those huge time savers. What would you say, or Jay, do you have suggestions for artists, maybe new artists that are either using VectorNator for the first time and potentially artists that are new to just creating with vectors in general? Do you have any tips or suggestions for them to kind of ease their way into vector life?
I don't think they should know every tools and the features, then start to create a vector work. We always learn by practice. So my tip for them is do not learn all tools and the features before creation, but learn how to use the tools when they need the tools for their work. I think that's a better way to learn and practice.
Super cool.
And if they already have experience of vector creation before, I think it should be very easy for them start with VectorNator, because I think the UI of VectorNator is very easy and organized, and it's not complex. And they could find the most tools they need. So, but if they have zero experience with vector creation, VectorNator is also very easy to start with. They should first know the toolbars of VectorNator. I think this is the basic tools. If they learn first a few tools there, they can already create vector work. And the rest of the tools and the features, I think they have to try themselves. As designers and artists, we should all have the explorer spirits.
Yeah, it's all about discovery.
Yes, and you can learn from the trying, and you can find yourself valuable tools. So it's better you taught yourself than other people tell you should do like this.
Yeah, I want to add that, like, just as VectorNator came to be, like, through trial and error, like, it kind of also enables every user who's installing VectorNator to go through this trial and error to kind of get into graphic design, and comparing the learning curve that you actually can achieve with VectorNator compared to like other graphic design apps or other apps like Illustrator, which hasn't aged well, I would say, for the last 30 years. I would say that VectorNator is very inviting, and it's very it definitely invites you to play around and to kind of like make a lot of mistakes in your graphic design. So then you kind of learn through the process.
Yeah.
That's how I found. I found a lot of users kind of benefiting from the low learning curve of Vectornator. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's also a lot of that is due to the smart, and this goes back to I think your team, Ralph, and the development team of like being very smart about how the UX is laid out. And I don't know if you've I love ZBrush, but let's just say if you've ever opened up ZBrush, which is a 3D, like an organic 3D sculpting program, that user interface is so scary, and you pull it up and it's just like all of these things pop out at you, and there's all these shapes and all these and you don't know what any of it means, because for a long time there was no precedent set for 3D sculpture programs. It was very much the Wild West for user interface. And I think because we've grown up a lot with Adobe, and I think oftentimes that's like the default, but it's not the best. It's just the like that's the baseline. So you guys have done a really great job. Why don't we, so I actually kind of want to go through some of these different features, and we can start to get a little technical here, because I think most of our viewers are artists, and if they work in pixel art or vector art, I think a lot of us go back and forth. So why don't we, Jay, why don't you click, I want to see layers. Let's talk about layers. This is always the fun conversation of layer management. I don't know. It's just super cool. I want to just like go through the different menus and stuff and kind of show people really what this user interface looks like. Yes, David Rick Smith, we're getting technical. This is super rad. So do you, when you're starting your pieces, do you start with like a rough sketch like this and then add your layers? Like what's that process look like for you, Jay?
So because I'm not a quiet person, it is really hard for me to stay at one place.
Mm-hmm.
And I really love to go different places. And I often get ideas when I am walking outside.
Yeah.
So it could be after dinner walk or an explore trip somewhere, or look around at a bookstore. I always get some idea in a movement. So when I sit down and try to create some artwork, I already have the raw idea about what I want to create next.
Mm-hmm.
At the beginning, I'm not trying to draw the exact the sketch or anything. I just want to freely doodle around, just do some doodles, and those are very good for my details. Then I will create several small sketches with the same backstory and the different presentations. So then I will choose the best from the small sketches and try to make the final sketch like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my
super cool.
Yeah, and when I saw this artwork, then I already have the color in my mind. So it's maybe like from my experience or from before what I saw, and I already got the idea. How should I create this artwork with the colors? Yeah.
Yeah, that is super cool. There was also a comment, again, the wild world of layers. There was a few people happy to see that you didn't name your layer groups either, which is, I think one thing we talked about too is like layer management within programs. And I think this is really common within most digital programs, is really difficult. It's tricky, and especially with vector, because you end up with a lot of shapes and you're layering shapes and gradients and all these other things on top of it. Can we talk about anything exciting happening in soon-to-be Layer Town? Or is that something that you guys think about for artists? Can you control layers? Can you control what that layer experience is? Or is it always just going to be something that the artist or the creator has to manage and group and name? And
I mean, so I guess you speak to a lot of users, and it's quite funny because many don't really do the work of renaming the layers.
Yeah.
which is understandable because it's kind of like a hassle and it's not really fun. I mean, we started, for instance, end of last year for images that you drag in, or like, let's say, sketches, that you auto name those just to create a bit of clarity. And we're currently also experimenting with bringing it over to layers and see if we can actually auto name layers in general, but that's
Cool.
still like a long way ahead.
For sure.
In between, in between, what we're doing now is kind of revamp the layer experience, and I guess Ralph can talk a bit about what our plans are on that regard.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Vladimir. So yeah, I mean, layer tabs are quite, I would say, quite obvious, right? They're all here to help you manage your document and help manage your artwork, basically. Whatever you're creating in a design app, everything needs to be laid out. And yeah, I mean, the problems are obvious. It's designers don't have time to organize their layers, and designers don't have time to kind of group up their documents and so on. So yeah, we've been working hard recently on like revamping the layer section for the users, and definitely something is super cool is coming really soon. But we were really looking at how are we able to explore masks and explore shapes and explore groups inside layers. Also, we're exploring ways of like, how can you find your object as soon as possible? Because layers can be a hassle if you have like 100,000 objects in your document. Something like what Jaye has right here is a huge thing. So, for example, we're adding a search function. We're adding we're exploring a filter function where it lets you, let's say, you have like a couple hidden objects in your document and you kind of forgot about those and you can't find them anymore. You can just filter by hidden and you just find your hidden objects. Something like that we're exploring. So a lot of exciting things happening to layers, but I think it's all about helping the user find their files and organize their files in a way that kind of their document just feels ready to send or ready to export.
Yeah. That's amazing. I think, and again, I am not a developer. I don't even understand the back end of how one would begin to sort this out, but being able to search those layers, even have them auto name, would be magical. I know for me, if I'm ever working in Vector, and a lot of the times it is in Illustrator, which I will convert over. I'll get myself a Mac and then I'll convert. But I name my layers at the end. I will organize them all at the end. I'm like, forget it. This is the last step when I'm completely done. And then it's the like dreaded scroll of, again, the 100+ layers, because every individual line is its own, is its own thing. But I think any opportunity to help like streamline that in the back end, and I would imagine that this is something, those layers, that organization or the search is something that's happening in the background, that it's not in the front of your artwork, right? But it just helps organize you at the end. We all need help organizing. We all need help there. Oh yeah, need to try Vectornator to After Effects. That actually that could be cool. We do have a couple people in the chat and on my team that create vector art and then animate it. So that would be, it runs on Mac OS now, so you can do that, Skymall Rats. I know you're a Mac person. Oh yeah, a lot of people are saying they use different colors to indicate layers as well, or group layers, which is always really smart too. What else? What are other cool things? Let's go back. I just want to go through. Let's go through each of the menus there. Maybe Ralph. Can you walk us through like the whole, the top to bottom, all the features? Let's go through and then have Jaye, as he's calling out kind of these different features, select it just so we can show everyone what each of these look like. I know the color selector was really great, just because it has your color palette up there. It's real pretty.
Yeah, Jaye, do you want to open the color picker however you like?
Oh, cool. Okay, awesome. Vectornator output into AI, or to drop into After Effects, is cool. Awesome.
I mean, currently Vectornator is like, most of your options are divided across these tabs, as you see.
Yeah.
So we were just visiting the layer tab on the top right corner, and then this is the style tab. This is where you can control the style of your object. So colors, effects, blend modes, blur, stroke options, shadows, and so on. And yeah, I guess that's where you can access your color picker. So that's the style tab here. And then if you switch to the other tab, there's the arrange tab where most of the arrange options show up. And all right, Jay.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's the color picker right here. And as you see Jay's wonderful colors already there.
I know. I love your color palette. Again, it's real great. There's a lot of artists out there that share their color palettes. I think you could do some educating for people and sharing your color palettes. It's really spectacular.
Yeah, a lot of people use my color palette already.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. We're also we are also working on the color picker, on updating it pretty soon. So there's also a lot of cool things happening with it, especially when it comes to importing, exporting color palettes, and trying to help you kind of manage your colors much more efficiently, I would say.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is cool. Yeah, I wonder, it's always nice when you can have like a swatch or like a color guide, just easy to go to, especially if you're working on like a series of artwork or something that you want them to have that consistent color palette. Just having that, again, next level organization.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's out there doing a deep. You're gonna get a lot of new followers, Jay, on your Instagram. Get ready.
Thank you.
Get ready. Oh, what about adding textures to your shape? What are some of the texture options, or maybe brushes that might fall under brushes, like gradient textures?
Is this for Jay?
For Jay or for you, anyone. Actually, yeah, let's talk. Jay, you've got some really good gradients in there. How is it? How are the gradient tools? I'm guessing they're pretty easy to use, but
Yeah, it's very easy here. Here you can choose different. Oh, wait.
he is fast. He's quick.
You choose like this, and you can add each points different colors.
Oh, that is easy. That is always nice. That's always been the one thing that I found difficult in Illustrator is managing the gradients in there. Has never been as intuitive as I would want it to be. And then I just give up and stop trying. So that's my story. Let's look at some of the different brush options. Are there, what do we have? What other fun, are there any cool brushes? And can you customize those?
Jay, do you want to go into the brush editor? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, here we allow like every user to create their own blob brushes. You can customize it in like many ways. You can adjust the contour of your brush, or you can even just change like the angle of it and like the width variance of it.
Oh, cool.
And but for me, I actually don't use that much. Actually, I switched. The latest feature that we have is that you can also use the brushes feature with the pressure sensitivity from the Apple Pencil. So I have that all turned off, and I just use the pressure sensitive brushes on the Apple Pencil. It's really, I would say, really nice.
Yeah, because I suppose the pressure sensitivity is going to allow you to do the thin to thick rather than creating that in your blob brush. That is super cool. Cartoon Katie, you had me at custom brushes. Let's talk about halftones. What do you have for... I only say that because, again, Cartoon Katie, resident vector artist, uses a lot of really amazing halftones. This is all for you, Katie.
So I don't use halftones.
You don't use halftones. No, I feel like you're the gradient master here is your new tag name. Oh, can you change the blending mode? That's a question.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
you see it right here. It's in the style tab below fill. Jay, if you want to go into that menu quickly.
Yeah, fill.
Just to show them quickly, like what are the supported blend modes that Vectornator has.
Yeah.
Here we go. Yeah, so we support
Okay.
most of the blending that everyone is familiar with, and they work pretty nicely, as you expect from
Yeah.
a graphic designer.
It's really beautiful.
Super cool. I'm trying to think of what else. What are there some fun, maybe unique tools, Ralph? Maybe is there one that you feel, something we haven't shown yet that you think is unique or special to Vectornator? There's a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So I think one of our most unique features is definitely the library tab, because we do have a lot of integrations with a lot of cool services that gives you a lot of design assets without leaving the app. So if you go to the library tab, yeah, we support, like, yeah, here, as you see here. So we support Unsplash, which means it's over 1 million high resolution images that are also free commercially. Iconator with over 80,000 vector icons available, also royalty free. And then SF Symbols, those are Apple's custom like icon library, which is also pretty useful if you want to design your own app, for example. So those are quite unique for Vectornator to have, just to have all of that baked into the software without even having to leave Vectornator. So
Yeah.
These are some cool functions, I would say. Some other cool functions is we have a lot of cool export options. Like you could even preview, let's say, your poster or art in AR. So you can preview that on the wall before printing it, for example, and so on. Yeah.
That's extra cool. Actually, do you feel so AR is becoming way more just used way more, and especially I know it's pretty easy. I say it's pretty easy, again, not a developer. I think on Apple systems, on the iOS, it's simple if you use something like Spark AR or something to integrate. Do you feel like that's going to become, utilizing AR or exporting your vector art into an AR space, do you think that that's going to become a lot more used within the creative space?
I mean, if you look at, let's say, the old print workflows, it's kind of annoying to, let's say, print something
100%.
and it takes a while to get it back, especially if it's about, let's say, a huge poster that should go on an ad billboard or something like that. You can simply preview it on your phone, on your iPad, with size accurate, color accurate mode. That is kind of like, why do you even need to print it beforehand? Just simply try it out. Or like, let's say you want to create a postcard for your grandma, and you don't know if it fits the mail because you did the size by random and you didn't really choose, let's say, the A94 or like some other size. You can just simply say, okay, preview, and then you can try it out in AR. So it's kind of like this cool feature, I guess.
That is cool. Yeah. It's like it's that pre-production, right? It's once your work is done and you're jumping to production. I actually never thought about utilizing AR for large-scale artwork. So I know a lot of artists will do digital work first for a large-scale mural, and then you end up doing projection. But to be able to use AR, see how it fits onto a wall or wherever you're painting it, that is super cool. I'm waiting, and I know this is like all still in the works because I feel like AR and VR technology is still in this, it's developed, but it's still in this like growth phase. But I'm curious to see how those tools and features now start to implement into 2D programs as a beneficial like next step in the production, or somewhere in like the pre-production pipeline would be super cool. What are some of the up and coming features, let's say, or what just rolled out for 4.0? This might be more directed towards Ralph, but what are some of those cool 4.0 features?
Well, the latest menu that you just saw with the SF symbols, that just rolled out with Vectornator 4.0. We also rolled out a couple more things, like the quick actions feature that Jaye just talked about. We redesigned settings from the ground up, so you can actually separate the document-specific settings from like your global settings that we worked on for 4.0 too. Another thing is emoji support. So we do officially now support emojis as text fields in Vectornator. what are the other things? We did launch a lot of things recently. Last week, we launched a performance update to 4.0, which kind of makes your document load up to 75% faster. I'm not sure if that benchmark is correct. Vladimir, correct me. but yeah, it does that, and also up to 20% less space on your iPad. So we saved a lot of space
Huge.
for a lot of users. And yeah, we are currently actively working on a lot of new features, and there's a lot to come in the summer, I would say. As I mentioned, there's the layer tab, there's color picker, there's something that is being cooked right now that is, I would say, even more exciting than all of these, which I'm super excited about, and that's document sync, which is so iCloud sync, so that being able to like jump between iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and like continuing your workflow with the tap of a button is just super cool.
Right.
So I'm personally looking forward to that feature a lot, and yeah, I guess
that will be great. I mean, and that's one of, I think, to your point, you were speaking on this earlier, Jay. Having programs that are this powerful and this robust on a device that is so mobile, like an iPad, but then when you get home to be able to sit down at your desktop, and I don't know, I'm an elder. I come home and I'm like, I need to sit at my work and I'm going to do my work at my computer. And I think it's that kind of shift of, you know, your mental shift when you go into work mode, but to have those documents just instantly, seamlessly transition from one device to another is fabulous. Fabulous. You don't have to like
You can jump easily from iPad to computer and computer to iPad.
Yeah.
And the UI from the both look the same, so you will not get confused.
That's the other great thing too, is that there's not that you're not changing scenery. Your whole user experience is the same and it's consistent. That is super nice. You don't have to, this is what I do. Go to Dropbox, find a file, figure out what misnamed file folder I have it in, download it. Like, it's that, like, let's eliminate all of those steps.
Megan, I think I found a feature that we can try.
Ooh, yeah.
Live on.
Let's do it.
How about, Jay, how about you open Unsplash, drag some really cool image from there, and try to auto trace it with Vectornator?
Ooh.
And to explain it to our viewers is that images are, of course, made out of pixels. And with auto trace, with Vectornator, you can actually tap on any image and it will attempt to vectorize it. So completely turning it into vector automatically. So we can try that live. Let's see if that works.
I love this. I love a good live experiment. This is great.
I'm still not very familiar with this function.
You just gotta search something. Just search for a house or.
Yeah, I was gonna say like. Yeah, houses are good.
Should I open a new canvas?
You can just drag it and drop it on the canvas and just tap auto trace. Okay.
And I guess it's the button on the quick actions next to the trash.
Yeah. Here we go.
That's pretty rad.
So now if you zoom in, you can see all the vectors. Yeah.
Can you adjust the like the level of detail on the auto trace? That's super rad though. Oh my god, look at those flowers.
Yes. We currently like allow you to decide like how many paths you'd like to have.
Got you.
It's ranging from like 0 to 1,000, and the minimum path size. So like how complex these paths can be, and yeah.
Super. Thank you for the right terminology. Paths. I have to remember my terms here. That's super cool. That is really, really cool.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I painted a house. I just vectored.
Yeah, but sorry for
house.
ruining your artwork today. Now
I know.
Yeah.
Delete layer. Delete layer. That's really cool. That is super, super exciting.
And actually, you can create quite amazing profile pictures with it, because you can simply just like, let's say you can take one, like your profile picture with a pretty background. Let's say it's like a landscape of New York, and you can just kind of auto trace it and then put yourself back in and mask yourself. So you have like this painting like vector background, and then you have like yourself as a real picture on top, and it looks unbelievable. And I guess,
Oh.
yeah, it just creates a
You mean
super
your
nice
profile
art
picture
style that not many people have.
Everyone's getting new profile pictures this weekend. That's all. That's everyone's program. Yeah. Also good for vectorizing old raster artwork, which is brilliant. And I think that happens. That happens a lot if you're working on an older designer. If you have a sketch, something that you didn't create originally in Vector, having that super fast live trace is really, really, that is super cool.
It's really fast.
It's insanely fast. Everyone in the chat is like, what? Like, instant fast. I think oftentimes you wait, you're like, we're going to get the little rainbow of death here and we're going to sit for a second. I'm going to make a pot of coffee, have some tea, come back, it'll be done. But that was real fast. That was really, really fast. One of the other cool, so I brought up sketching and I'm going to call this out too. One of the other really cool things about Vectornator is that it works with bamboo slates. So where is mine? So guys, I'll tell you this funny story. I'm not a professional graphic designer. I used to do that, but I don't do it anymore. So I haven't, it's one of those things. If you don't practice creating art every day, eventually your skills get rusty. So a few months ago, I was like, I'm going to start this project and I'm going to make a custom set of playing cards, like a deck of 52 playing cards. For me, there's still something about drawing with an ink pen, like traditional on paper, that it just is a little easier for me, but then I always want to then digitize those ink sketches. So I have my little bamboo slate, which I do love, which syncs with Vectornator, and it's the coolest thing ever. And I think for anyone out there, especially for people doing logo design in vector programs, which is, I think, one of probably the most, maybe not most common, I'm going to phrase this terribly, but you see that a lot. A lot of graphic designers doing logos are working in Vector, and a lot of those logos start out as pen sketches. So you can sync your bamboo slate to your iPad through VectornatorPro, and live, I can be drawing on my bamboo slate and it'll show up in Vectornator, and then it's like you don't have to scan, because who has a scanner? It's like, who has printers, right? Who has a scanner? It's just instant. It's line for line, stroke for stroke. It's really quite magical. It's quite magical.
And the cool thing is that it actually comes in as vectors, so you don't have to vectorize your sketch. Just simply sketch it on paper, which some just people love because of the paper feel, and then you have the vectors right away. You can say, okay, I want to change the color, and boom, you have everything ready there. No more hassle with how do I get paper to vectors now?
It's true. Yeah, you're like, we just skipped at least 7 different steps here. In between that, you just did pen and paper to vector. Into vector, and you're done. There you go. You're welcome. Which is another super cool feature. And I do think it's one of those tools that helps. Again, there's such a unique feeling of ink pen on paper. You have that, like, I like it because it's like scratchy. It's like that, like, scratchy feeling. Which is always really nice, but then, it eventually your work's got to end up digital anyways, so it's super, super cool. What other cool features have we not dived into yet? What do we need to I feel like we're making Jaye go through each layer and just redo all the colors. I hope this is saved as a copy. We're not ruining your artwork. It's just fun to see all the steps and, like, all your layers and everything. It's really cool. I do love this sketch, too. This is really lovely. I just really like this piece. I do. I'm a fan. Ralph, what are some other cool features that we haven't yet touched on?
Well, there's a lot.
I mean, there's a million, right?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I could definitely point out is, like, the export panel makes it very clear to see how many, like, files we support in Vectornator, like, let alone that we also support importing sketch files and Figma files directly into Vectornator. So as you see here, there's a time-lapse button, there's the AR export button, and then you can also choose from a wide range of file types, including Illustrator, so you can even export to Illustrator. which is super cool.
It's very kind of
And,
you.
yeah, maybe, I don't know, Jay, maybe you want to turn your iPad into light mode. Maybe you can go to settings and change the theme of Vectornator. Maybe that could be cool.
Ooh.
How change to
So
light
now
mode?
tap on preferences, appearance. Yeah, here we go.
Oh, cool. Jay, you're like me. I always set everything on dark mode.
Yeah.
I
Really, I
don't know.
do that.
I don't. It's just I don't know what it is. It's just I need dark mode. That's all.
It's a
Yeah.
funny insight. I mean, Vectornator was one of the only apps that had dark mode, and we had to make a light mode afterwards,
Oh.
while all the other apps like made dark mode later. Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. Cartoon Katie, I was interested in something from your demo video. There's an isometric grid. Can we pull up?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
You want to try to turn it on, Jay?
Yeah.
Let's try to turn it on. So just tap on settings, and then artboard and grid. And here we go. Just turn on the grid and choose isometric.
And the cool thing is it's essentially you have it right away for kind of like, let's say, for free, because in the other software you really need to compose this grid, which is insane because it's just something that should work out of the box. It's not something that you should create the grid yourself and then turn on stepping and so on. So
right.
Yeah, you can even like, there's like a lot of hidden features in Vectornator, but let's say you can even drag along the ruler and you can create guides, let's say for your document. You can even, oh, we could try some of the animated buttons in Arrange tab. We can show you the joystick.
Oh
in
yeah, let's see
Vectornator.
that.
Oh.
Yeah, Katie's saying she's always needing to create her own grids in Illustrator, and it's nice that that's an option by default for sure. I think, again, if you're working on a grid is really common. It's nice, it's necessary. Having to create your own grids it's really tricky, and I think at some point, it becomes second nature if you have to make your own grid often enough. But again, having those key tools just be a default is like
yeah.
a bit
And
of
now
a
imagine
no-brainer.
imagine you create a grid and then you notice, okay, the grid isn't perfect. I need to make it, let's say, change the angle or like change the grid distance.
Right.
You can start over. So
I know.
it's-
Yeah, your whole other grid. Like, please not another grid.
Vectornator lets you create a custom grid for every artboard, so not just the document wide. So you can even have multiple grids in your document.
Cool. Oh, that is great.
Yeah.
This is too cool. I love it. Any other? I know, in dark mode for the inner Batman vibes. Yes, that's 100%. Thank you, thank you, David Rick Smith. Any other questions? I know, but keep with the questions from the chat. This is really great. It's super cool. What other cool? I'm trying to remember what we spoke about the other day that were cool soon to be. Actually, one thing you brought up too is the Vectornator community and a lot of the changes. I think what's great about your team and the whole crew at VectornatorPro is you guys are a really small. You're not a really small, but you're a small, agile team, and you have the ability to update and improve based on the needs of your creative community. So if artists, Cartoon Katie, we're all converting. We went on this hype train trying to convert everyone to Clip Studio Paint. Now we're going to convert all the vector artists to VectornatorPro. If someone wanted to be a part of your VectornatorPro community and give you feedback, how can they do that? Where's a good place for them to find you guys and follow you and participate in your community?
I mean, they can follow us. They can follow us everywhere because we are on all the big social media platforms.
Super.
And we're super open to feedback, of course, because I mean, it's also a reason why we're free. We want to get feedback so we can create the best tool out there for you because you're the user and you use it every day. And we can only make it better by you all telling us what to do. So we're always out there. I mean, you can also always ping Ralph or me or any other team member on Twitter or on Instagram, or message our support. We're always there and we always keep track of it. I mean, we also have a dedicated platform for creating feature requests, feedback.vectornator.io, where we are checking it regularly on a daily basis, just to get a feeling of what you all want out there. And then we try to do our best in terms of prioritizing them, how to add the biggest value to the biggest percentage, of course, but also to see, okay, what tiny details can we fix or like improve to make the experience better for everybody. And
just to add to Vladimir's point, I mean, if you want to get into Vectornator really quickly, one of the cool links you can use is definitely, if you tap on that question mark button in Vectornator, it takes you directly to the Learning Hub. So we have a dedicated Learning Hub that can let you get into Vectornator much quicker.
Super cool.
we have a dictionary with everything you need set up, and we're, as Vladimir said, we're very, very active on socials, especially so like Instagram and Twitter. We host a lot of design challenges too. We're always active, I would say, and we do respond a lot to our users there.
Yeah, that is the one thing that I've noticed, I think, since my first introduction to you guys, is how focused you are on integrating the community in not just like promoting cool artwork and sharing information about your app, but using their feedback, actively using their feedback to inform change and feature updates, which you don't see a lot with other programs. So that's super amazing as everyone shakes a fist at the Creative Cloud. We love all programs, but we especially love programs that, again, listen to the voice of the people. Because I think at any given point, everyone's creative process is different, and everyone approaches things in a really different way. But there are those commonalities and those common features and default sets that I imagine are more or less universal, right? There's things that people are wanting that more than two people are asking for. So, that is super cool. Okay, circle back question. David Rick Smith. This question is for you, Jay. The line work that we're looking at right now. Did you do that line work in Vectornator also?
No, actually.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. that's
because
all right.
Vectornator is vector program. It's not actually for sketches.
Got you. Yeah. Cool. So multiple programs. There you go. Very cool.
But the cool part is that you can like sketch on any other app that you like, and you can import it directly. Like it just works.
Yeah.
Or on papers. Yeah.
Or on paper. Yeah. That's, I think, again, the nice thing is that seamless, the option and opportunity to, you don't have to do all of your work. And I think this is the one thing that I think new artists and maybe new creators that are shifting into a digital space that weren't there before, is you sometimes think like, I need to eat, sleep, and breathe in this one program 100% of the time. And oftentimes programs have a really specific function within the overall creative process. So, it might not be quick sketches. Your program might not be the greatest, but for the final work and for fine tuning and getting the color and the texture and bringing that artwork to life and creating a final piece of work, 100%. But that's also why we have different tools out there. So it's always fun to figure out how those all work together.
Yeah, and I mean, we also believe in that a lot, that at the end, every tool should be open, and if a tool is better for something else, use it, of course. I mean, we're pretty open. You can even, let's say, if you want to create something in Sketch, you can bring it over. If you want to create something in Figma, fair enough, bring it over. If you want to export it and work on a desktop in Illustrator, we have one button, it opens up your Adobe account right away. So it's kind of giving the user the choice, because
Yeah, it's super cool. I bring this up a lot. We talk to so many artists and creators through our events and stuff at the Experience Center, and I bring this up all the time. We right now have access to so many amazing tools, both analog and digital, and within each program and app, there are a whole other giant set and giant toolbox, of things and brushes and all this stuff that we have at your fingertips. Use the tools that you have been given. We've got them. They're there. Use them all. Figure out how they all work with each other to create that own, whatever your final piece of art is. And I think it's it's fun and it may be a little intimidating when you think like, oh my gosh, there's so many tools. You don't have to use all of them, but they're out there. So
You can't know all of them.
yeah, to use them all. Use the best tool for the job. 100%. Well, what else? Anything we missed, guys? Any other cool things we missed? We covered so much. There's so many cool features. I think like this was such a good, like, not just teaser, like half steps into like a full-blown Vectornator workshop. I do, for anyone out there that's on Mac OS or has an iPad, download it. Go do it. Play around. Let's see some Vectornator art this weekend. We, of course, have a Discord, so if you guys do play around with Vectornator this week, drop it in Discord. I will make sure to share it with the team. If you do post any Vectornator artwork on social media, of course, tag the Vectornator team in it. I'm going to blow up everyone's social media. Before we get to the end of the stream, is there anything fun you guys have? I know you do a lot of contests and giveaways. Do you guys at the VectornatorPro team have anything fun coming up for the community that people can jump on?
I guess you can always tag us on social media, and we're
Yeah.
super happy to promote what you create, because we also believe a lot in empowering people, and we have a lot of users that are new to the vector space or like completely new artists, and we also want to make sure that they get the exposure that they should get from the amazing content they create. So make sure to tag us, and we'll always be happy to reshare it.
Yeah. Also make sure to follow so you can stay up to date with updates and contests and other cool stuff that's happening. Jay, where people can follow you, it's Jaye Comics, COMIK, is that right?
Yes. And also Twitter, and also a lot of places.
Okay. All over the place. All the follows. Any final questions from the chat? I know everyone is frantically installing Vectornator right now and following all the people. Yeah, this has been super cool. I now need to recharge my iPad because I think it's dead. It's fine. I have the bad habit of just letting my devices die. So this is cool. I'm super inspired now to get back into Vectornator. Yes, follow Ralph, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really, really amazing. Vladimir, I think we have Nightbot. It's a real Wild West. I will actually do a post. I'll make sure to retag on our social medias and also drop some links in our Discord for people to find you guys. Yes, congratulations on this amazing program. I can't believe version 4.0 is out. This is cool. I'm excited. Ralph, you got a lot of work with all that layer work you got going on, but I can only imagine that seems extremely difficult. Oh, here's a good question. Is there one feature they love or can't live without on Vectornator? That's a good. What's the like you couldn't have Vectornator without?
I mean, you could not have any graphic design app without a pen tool, right? I think the pen tool is the bread and butter of the graphic design. Yeah.
That's it. It all starts with a pen tool. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because then what do you have?
Yeah, or going even one step back, the Bezier curve.
Ooh, that is true. Yep. Extra granular. Well, thank you again, everybody. This has been really, really wonderful. We'll have to do this again. I actually am extra excited for us to get on the other side of this pandemic so we can have the Vectornator team back in Portland. I already think we need to do a VectornatorPro workshop. I think it would be amazing. Thanks again for joining us, Jaye, Ralph, and Vladimir. It is always so exciting and such a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you, Jaye, for sharing your artwork and letting us piece it apart. It's really lovely. Again, every time I look at this piece of work, I just discover something new, and there's these little moments and color changes that are just really fun to look at and explore. And I appreciate you creating artwork and making the world a lovely place. For everyone on our stream, thank you for following us. Don't forget, Todd Hopmeyer has a stream, Todd Hop Art, tonight at, I believe, 7 p.m. And then we will also be back tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. So thanks, everyone. We always appreciate you joining us, and we will see you all next time. Bye all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.